I deleted Telegram from my phone today, and for anyone who doesn't know, Telegram is just a social media app like any other where you follow people, and getting rid of that was my last connection to anything, in terms of political online commentary, because I'm sick to death of it. I've had enough of it. I know that me worrying about things that are happening at the moment or things that are going to happen in the future, me getting stressed out about it and increasing my already high blood pressure, it wasn't adding anything to my life. So getting rid of Telegram was just part of a greater push on my part to living a bit more naturally and a bit more holistically, because human beings aren't meant to know what's happening on the other side of the world instantaneously. That's never been a thing. And it's a thing now, and you can see the effect it has on people. It drives them mad. Quite literally, it drives them mad. Not figuratively or just sort of being facetious or anything like that. No, it literally does make people go crazy to the point where they're stressing constantly, they're getting angry, full of rage because this politician said this, or this event happened in this far-off country, or I'm going to get so angry about this thing that happened in this country that I couldn't even point to on a map. The whole thing's absurd, so I just decided to get rid of it. I've got 2 channels on YouTube that I'm subscribed to that deal with political stuff, but it's more about theory, like elite theory, rather than, oh, look what happened today, isn't this terrible? So I've been kind of preoccupied recently with the idea, the concept of the natural and, the natural world, and trying to live more naturally. And by that, I just mean living holistically, trying to strike a balance in your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, all that kind of thing. I don't mean, growing dreadlocks and dancing about in the woods eating berries or anything like that. I just mean trying to take a step back from all the noise of the modern day and just forget about everything that people didn't really concern themselves with a few decades ago. They didn't have instant access to what was going on in the Middle East or whatever. You would get the news, obviously, but it wasn't just in your pocket all the time. So that's that feels good. It feels good to have gotten rid of that, to not have to worry about that anymore. I've never been a Twitter user. I did have an account years ago, but I never used it, couldn't be bothered with it. And Twitter is it's going to be even more soul destroying than Telegram was, because on Telegram you just follow the channels, and the only comments you see are followers of that channel, and it's not infested with leftist hive mind drones like Twitter is, or X, whatever you want to call it. And that's I found myself on those YouTube videos, those YouTube channels where I watch the videos that I've mentioned before that talk about political theory and stuff. You would still get like people that didn't agree with it, but they just go on there to troll, and it makes you angry to see it. And I found myself getting drawn into arguments, and it's like, yeah, you can easily own them with a bit of logic, because they don't think logically. They just try to speak insane things into existence. But even so, it's they're emotional vampires. They still manage to drain you. You managed to pwn them in an argument. Big deal. In my opinion, it's like something I saw. I can't remember who said it, but it was years ago. Somebody said that arguing on the internet is like bobbing for apples. Even if you win, you lose. You still end up, soaking wet and looking like an absolute pillock because it's a stupid waste of time thing to do. although bobbing for apples can be fun at a party, you know, it's a kid's party or whatever, but still, you end up looking like a sopping wet, silly bugger after doing it. And the same is with internet arguments, especially if you let yourself get so angry by them that you start sweating through your shirt, then you look like you have been bobbing for apples. Anyway, yeah, I'm just rambling. It's something that I've been thinking about quite a bit. The living in a more balanced way. And I mentioned a few things in my previous video, like recently I've been enjoying things like cigar smoking and coffee and stuff like that. And I know that they're kind of processed goods, but you know, they're not. They're more. They do come from nature, don't they? Because they're made of leaves. Cigars are made of tobacco leaves. Coffee is made from coffee beans. So it's a lot better than, you know, something like energy drinks. Coffee as an alternative to energy drinks is good because energy drinks are purely synthetic. They are just made in a factory. It's slop. Saying that, I am a bit of a hypocrite there because I do enjoy energy drinks and I had one shortly before recording this video. So, yeah, you know, I'm human. I'm hypocritical. But it's just something I've been thinking about. And it's funny how when you become preoccupied with a concept, you start to look at things and, you know, try to make them fit into it. Like, does this fit into this thing I've been thinking a lot about recently? Or does it not fit? If that makes sense. And it's funny because I've been reading this book. It's called Ancient Iraq, and it is literally about the history of Iraq. Because I do have a I do have a strong interest in history in general, and that part of the world, you know, from in ancient times was an absolutely glorious place. You know, it's like the ancient Sumerians and the Akkadians and the Babylonians and stuff. It's like the oldest civilization that we know about. And I'm reading this book, like I said, called Ancient Iraq. It's by a French author called George Roux. And something that stuck out to me when I was reading it, because this is related, so just bear with me. I know it's been kind of a rambling video so far, but this is related. Essentially, he talks about something that took place in that ancient time in ancient Sumeria, modern-day Iraq. You know, between the Euphrates River and the Tigris River. And it's something that has a parallel these days, because on the topic of nature, I think these days, the paradigm that we're in now, the status quo, is one of nature worship in a way, and more specifically, climate worship. You know, you've all heard, oh, climate change, the climate crisis, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, just, you know, full disclosure, my take on that is climate change is happening, but we're not responsible. Because you go through so many, you know, historical texts and things like that, and history books, you read them, it says, oh, this, you know, life was like this for a while, but then the climate started to change. And that was thousands of years ago. So I don't think cavemen were driving around in cars causing climate change back then. I wonder if I'm going to get a Wikipedia context thing at the bottom of this video now, having mentioned climate change. But, you know, it happened in the past, before fossil fuels were being used. And the ice ages came to an end because of global warming and what have you. The planet warmed up. So the ice age stopped. So it happens naturally. And it's only being, you know, we're only being told these days that it's happening as a result of our activities as a way to extract money from us and gain power over us. That's literally all it is. It's just they've just seen an opportunity for a power grab and they've taken it. The you-know-whos. But yeah, anyway, in this book, there's a fragment. It talks about a fragment from an epic story called the Atrahasis, I think you pronounce it. I'll just read the excerpt that I've underlined in here, because it runs parallel to the kind of anti-natalist, oh, we're overpopulated, oh, we need to reduce the population and stuff like that, because it's making the gods angry, because it's upsetting the climate. That's the justification basically these days. It's climate worship. The climate is an angry god that's going to smite us, you know. And the craziest thing about that is the cyclical kind of the circular reasoning that they have. Essentially, they say, oh, the climate, you know, we have to do something about climate change because in the future, the climate won't be good for humanity and we'll die. And you go, okay, what's your solution to that? The solution is for humans to die because they want population reduction. So in order to have a climate that's suitable for humanity in the future, they want humanity gone now. So it's just this bizarre reasoning that they have. But the excerpt, it goes, this remarkable epic begins with the creation of male and female human beings who would relieve the lesser gods, the Anunnaki, from their exhausting work on Earth. All goes well at first, but, quote, 1,200 years had not yet passed, when the land extended and the people multiplied. The earth was bellowing like a bull. The gods got distressed with their uproar. In order to reduce this noisy crowd to silence, the gods unleash an epidemic, followed by a terrible drought, but these are of no avail. Men and women continue to multiply, even though starvation forces them to eat their own children. Finally, the gods release the flood, not knowing that Ea will warn and save Atrahasis, the exceedingly wise. The flood itself is described in about the same words as in Gilgamesh, but it is the end of our epic which deserves our attention, for Ea now appears as a precursor to Malthus, advocating infertility, infantile mortality, and celibacy as remedies against overpopulation. So, in this ancient Sumerian world, they thought that they had a population problem, that there was too many people, and so they started to promote, as I said, they advocated infertility, infantile mortality, and celibacy. That's all things that are being promoted now. Abortion and not having children and things like that. Because back then, in the Sumerian times, they thought the gods were angry with them and they had to reduce their population. These days, this priestly class, which is the scientists, they think that the climate is basically angry with us. They dress it up in all kinds of scientific terms and things because we live in the materialist modernity, and they want to to give themselves legitimacy, they dress it up in the science, the science. Trust the science, trust the experts. But it's essentially the same thing. They want the population reduced because the climate is angry with us. The climate is their god. You know, it's a weird, bizarre kind of pagan worship that they have of nature. It's the same thing now. They're advocating all the same things now that they advocated back then. And it's really, that just stood out to me while I was reading this book. And like I said, it fitted into this this concept that I'm quite preoccupied with at the moment, and that's the natural and the natural world and stuff. So, yeah, I just found it interesting. Just thought I'd knock out a quick video talking about it, because it shows that no matter how quote-unquote advanced and atheistic and materialistic people think they are, they just find new things to worship and be scared of, powers beyond them, like the climate, the weather, basically. They worship the weather. These days the experts, they scoff at religion and religious beliefs, and yet they've created a whole new death cult for themselves. and I just found that quite ironic and quite funny. So yeah, it's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video. Thanks for watching. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe and all that stuff. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to watch this, to be honest. I've got 41 subscribers and nobody seems to watch my videos. So this is really just, this channel's really just a journal at this point. But hey ho, it is what it is. Yeah, thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'll see you in the next one.